I just hit record because I really am afraid that his narcolepsy will kick in and then we'll be done. Poor guy's been, we were just talking about Beige. It concerns me because he's very tired. I'm just worried about him. And please, everybody, send prayers, reach out. He could use your thoughts.
Jeez, it's not that bad. Well, at least I hope it's not.
Appreciate everybody coming back with us. I think that there's a few people following us, and it's appreciated because we think we're really entertaining. But knowing that we have 3 people listening to us kind of validates that. So thank you. And also...
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. My family.
Actually, I don't think my mom listens.
It's not even the whole family, really. There's only a few of them. It's the ones that I've talked to. This episode is going to be... So we never discuss exactly what we're going to talk about, but we have sometimes general topics. And the topic that I thought might be interesting for us, certain things that you see, indicators or variables that foreshadow that you're on the precipice of a weird exchange with a stranger. Maybe it's the way somebody is acting from far away. Maybe it's the way they're dressed, their demeanor, their nonverbal cues. And you can tell, oh, this is going to be a weird. There's just certain places where this seems to happen more than others.
Heroes of humility, 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 humility. This is not a charade. This is real. These words you are about to hear are coming from real humans on a mission to save the human race from itself. Buckle up while these delusional heroes of humility, aka hoes, attempt to right the wrongs in everyday human behavior.
It's never going to be a normal exchange at a gas station. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah, especially lately. Like, you'll go to a gas station and a lot of times you would get, hey, do you have $5 or something? It's usually somebody asking you for something. I don't know. That's what I've encountered. And it's not your typical, like, panhandling. It's like somebody coming up and scamming and saying, oh, I ran out of gas or something like that. And then you got to...
Sorry. I had to set a place where I know to pick up on the recording. Apologize. Go ahead. That was distracting.
I was like,
I love it.
I thought you were clapping for what I was saying. I was like, man, he's really into this.
Just decided to crank a round off.
So
that's Papa here in the studio.
And I don't know. I'm so jaded now. I'm like, you didn't really run out of gas. Like, this is a scam. Everything is always like a scam. I hardly ever carry cash, so somebody's always like, hey, man, you got cash? Your go-to is like, I don't have cash, because usually I don't have cash. But then now it's like...
I take Zelle.
I take Zelle. I take Venmo. I'm like, damn, dude, this is a lot easier in like the 90s. There was no Zelle.
I like, every time you exchange money with somebody, the process never ends. This is off topic, but it just reminded me of that. Now they send you constant spam to leave them a review. Then you have to join an app. So you have to add an app to your life that you didn't need before. There's just a nonstop. I remember what happened when you used to just buy something and that was the end of it.
Oh yeah. Like if you go online and are you enjoying using such and such, and you're like, oh, dude. And because if you say yes, then it's going to ask you like 20 follow-up questions. Please rate your experience. Yeah. Please write a review. Right. And it's like, I just give you my money, you take it, and
you already took something from me once.
We call that good?
Yeah, and now you want to just keep taking. How do you put an end to this relationship? And there's some of these business relationships where they want to entice you with these emails, and it's no longer, if you do belong to Sprouts. Sprouts is a grocery. I just joined their app because I go there a lot. They're offering points. Public service announcement, PSA. If you're getting points for going to your favorite grocery store where you buy anyway, okay, that's a worthwhile investment of an app. But then you want to stay on board with the emails, but then it doesn't even allow you the choice to limit their marketing. There's like 3 options. Infinity marketing, just a tiny bit of marketing, 3 times a week marketing. And I didn't want any of it. But if I go no to everything, then they know they've got me because I'm married to their point system and the discounts on all of the nutrients I get. This was what I thought about, guys. And this is what one of the reasons I thought of this topic. I had a very weird exchange at an ear, nose, and throat place. And I wanted to give you another PSA on how I got to this point. So sometimes we talk about health. My health was actually compromised by something that I was doing that was a little too healthy, and I did too much of this healthy thing. There's some snickering and smiling going on.
I thought the
You
donkey
can't see
shows
this
in
on the
Tijuana were kind of dirty.
Well, again, I told you, Red, not to give the listeners the wrong idea. They can't see. We're going to get to video eventually, but so I don't really do. I don't know what he's talking about, but
Wait, the video that we're just talking about donkey shows. Where are we going with this?
so yeah, I felt like if we had a video,
boy.
I was doing citrus every morning with grapefruit and lemon juice, okay? And I think what happened was I decimated the pH balance between my gut flora and my system. And then there was a number of nights, and I went on a small vacation where I ate too late. And then I was just eating big meals too late. Well, this sent me into a cataclysmic scenario of air that was probably under the category of reflux, but they didn't know how else to categorize it. And that's what I'm calling it.
It was a perfect storm in your stomach.
Yeah, well, it was causing issues. And then I went and did a karaoke night with some people, and they had a stage there. Got the stage up the ante, and so I went up there and I did White Snake song. And
knew it.
I
Air
heard
guitar.
Of course.
I knew it.
It goes without saying.
it was which is that one that Still of the Night. It's a really long
Yeah,
one.
that's
too.
a good one.
But he does like this really high note, and so I tried to hit it, and I did something to my throat and my vocal cords, I thought. So I've been on a series of doctor appointments since then, and what I've since found out is that it might have been more so this pH balance issue. Long story short, this led me to an ENT. I forget what they're really called, but it's an ear, nose, and throat doctor. You know it's going to be weird anyway, because, I mean, he's got the name ear, nose, and throat. So he's going to go into some orifice, and he's going to have to take a look. And I can tell you, I have had things put... This is going to sound... Yeah.
See?
I'm sorry, but this
See.
Heroes of Humility does not hold secrets. We open ourselves up to the ridicule and the shaming of one another, but also to the listening audience, because it might benefit somebody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. This is going to benefit somebody for sure.
That would have benefit me.
I promise to let you guys talk some point during this episode. So I've had something put up different holes of my body, which I didn't want. I did have
It's one hell of a
Where
party.
ear, nose, and throat, right?
yeah, but I'm getting back to that. But the point is that I still had the sanctity of my mouth and my nose.
Was it violated
This is
before?
yeah. I know this is
Where's
really
this
bad.
going?
But
What
The donkey show was
all I'm saying,
what shape was the object that was
very phallic.
if you want to take a pause and pull over your car and get your phone and Google the word cystoscopy, I've had a cystoscopy done, and that's where they go in through your pee hole. And I'm sorry. It's like, have you seen the end of Braveheart?
You said this was ear, nose, and throat, and that's what he did to you?
Yeah.
What I'm saying
Is
is
this free of charge? Or?
they're not supposed to do that at the ear, nose, and throat doctor. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Dude, I would be questioning that doctor.
got-
He did have candles
Yeah.
burning. I just assumed.
You got the full service.
Yeah,
dude.
was this Dr. P. Diddy or something?
Well, they had some soft music playing. No. So anyway, the point is I've been through some hellacious experiences. So I didn't think it would be
so.
that bad at the ear, nose, and throat doctor. So I go in there and I said, yeah, this wasn't the doctor. The first one I went to, he's not the one I wanted to see. He was not rated really high.
Oh, he's rated B, not A. Yeah.
You're just letting any random stick stuff in your throat, dude.
Yeah.
I had to
It's got to
because
be
I
4
was,
stars or above.
I made an appointment for the guy that I really wanted to go to, and he wasn't available until 2 months from now. And this is why, because he's the best in the biz. So I went to the guy who was the antithesis of that, the opposite. And he came in there with a mask, so he was already very wrapped around the axle. It's not like he's performing surgery, but I was talking with this girl with no mask on, and he comes in like he's about to do surgery inside my nose. So that was already, and so his bedside manner was a little bit odd. So then he says, tell me what's going on. I said, well, it started this one night when I was doing karaoke. Are you familiar with the White Snake? He said, let me take a look. He went, I didn't get through the White Snake story. So he says, can I go ahead and take a look? I said, sure. I mean, you're the doctor. He takes this thing that is like, it's got a long cord and a little tiny like light at the end, and he can move it. So it looks like a snake. So he moves it, it goes
hell
up.
yeah.
Like a white snake.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
white snake. Ooh, all the full circle, man.
A tapeworm.
Yep.
So he puts that thing up my right nostril, and I'm like hoping this thing's really malleable. It didn't feel very malleable, dude. It like bent a little bit when it got to the place where there was a bendy in there, and then it starts to go down into my throat. And he says, "Are you doing okay?" And it's like, I can't talk. You got this thing down my windpipe, and he's got it down in there, and he's pushing on this, and I see I feel liquid coming out of it. I know this sounds ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like the way this sounds.
He hit the mucus pocket, dude.
Well, no, it was out of the thing itself, so there was liquid coming out of this thing.
Oh, wow. It has a light, a camera, and it shoots liquid?
Yeah, it's got a
Dude,
camera.
where was this
I know.
doctor?
So he says, I don't see anything. Everything looks good. And then he leaves the room. I go to look at the report later, and it's got all this stuff about, well, there's a slight narrowing of this passageway, and this looks slightly inflamed. I go on to Google again, and the guy's stars have dropped like 2 since I saw him. We're talking like 2.8.
Ouch.
So the only thing that I knew was I didn't have anything that was going to kill me, and that was all I needed from the doc. And he wanted me to go do some other tests, and I realized this is not the place to go. Now, I'm not going to name who this is, but I will go on later and review. And because I think it's a duty, it's almost like a legal obligation to maybe save lives at this point. So I go to my other doctor, and I just came from him today. And he says, well, I'd like to take a look. And he does the same procedure. It's like 100 times different. He says, well, I'm supposed to look up each nostril. He talks me through it like play by play, which is kind of what you don't want too much information, but you do want somebody giving you a heads up before.
Yeah, you just don't want somebody jamming something in your nose.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Yeah. And as a guy who's had things put in them, exactly. Yeah. So he gives me a kind of, we have a little talk. It's not just like,
you got a little
bam, thank you,
foreplay.
ma'am.
You
Yeah,
have
like
some
first you
foreplay
have
into
dinner, appetizers, maybe a drink.
Kind of starts rubbing your back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody
boy.
starts to give me a massage.
There you go.
Some
Grease it up.
Incense burning in the background. Still got my pants on at this point.
There you go.
But he says, so I'm going to look on your nostrils, see which one we like first. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good to me. And he's like, well, yeah, we're going to definitely do the right one. I was like, okay, well, that's unfortunate. The last guy went up the left one. So he says, well, this has to be sprayed up your nose first. Now, I don't think it was like a desensing cream or whatever.
Like lube.
Yeah, it wasn't. You were just waiting to say that. But it was something. And when he sprayed it up there, dude, the world felt better. Like everything was like better. And then the guy put it up there and I didn't even feel it. The other guy was like, if you don't relax, I won't be able to get it around your sphincter or something. And I'm like, what the hell? I thought sphincter. I thought that was in the other end, doc. So, dude,
was it like that throat numbing spray, but for your nose?
I don't know. Whatever it was magical. And I told the doctor, he finished, and I said, look, I don't like to badmouth other doctor. This whole thing sounds really bad.
This is
I'm gonna have
like,
to go and edit this.
dude, you remember like Three's Company when they were having a conversation?
Come
and
and
you're
knock on the door. Yeah, it's always a double entendre with everything.
Doctor finished all over you.
So, damn.
And then he threw a towel. He's like, go clean yourself up.
Go clean yourself.
Hopefully we have some mature listeners out there.
Sorry.
No,
not too many.
negative.
But so anyway, so he says, everything looks pretty good. And I said, look, doc, he said something like, I can tell you're a good judge of character, because I was telling him diplomatically that the other guy was pretty much a masochist or a sadist, whatever the right word is, and that he was torturing me. He says, I know that, doctor. Now, I don't know if you've ever told one doctor that another one wasn't that good, but I don't know if it's against the Hippocratic oath of whatever, but they do not even blink when you say that, because they have to be very stoic. They're not supposed to badmouth other doctors, and he didn't, but his look.
The tone.
Yes, his tone and his reaction. And I was like, holy shit, dude, this guy almost murdered me at the other place. Like, I realized,
It's like, oh, Dr. Death over there? I mean, Dr.
I told the guy what he did to me, and he's like, he just kind of shook his head, and he's like, yeah, I've heard about that doctor. And I was like, oh my gosh. And you guys know how
So he's got a
careful I am.
reputation, this guy.
Yeah, with my bod. So
He violated you.
I got violated, and I'm gonna go on, and I'm gonna tell people that I was violated so that they won't get violated. Anyway, things are okay, but look, this is a long story. Here's the thing. I'm still coming back from this, but the point is, when people used to tell you don't eat too late and people get down on you about being careful about not eating too much grapefruit, these are very wisdomous things to know. If you're decimating your body with too much citrus or you're eating too late, you could wind up in this scenario. I'm still not sure that's exactly what happened to me, but you have to be careful because your gut and your flora are a delicate ecosystem. Even like when you're drinking water or alcohol incident to a meal, you're actually compromising your body's ability to digest because the acid is being made in your body as you chew. And if you're not taking 32 bites of your food, if you're drinking alcohol or you're drinking a lot of liquid while you're eating, these are all counterproductive to the digestive process. I just want to help people out there.
So was it your acid reflux affected your vocal cords?
That's the theory that might have happened, but it could have been in the reverse. He said I also might have tightened muscles in there when I was singing. That he said if you use your voice for a professional purpose, he says I can have you talk with somebody that can go over this. But he says
exercises,
that's really
right?
Yeah. He says don't worry about it. He said just take it easy and continue to avoid foods that might give you. See, I don't have like acid reflux per se, but I had this thing happening because I think that my pH was off.
Well, I'll tell you from somebody who monitors their health just as you do.
Okay.
And if you've ever drank too many margaritas in one sitting and you go to lay down in bed, it burns, yes. And your voice might be a little squeaky in the afternoon because all that acid in your tummy is going, oh, hell no, you didn't.
Does it feel like a hoarseness or does it feel like a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you've been like, say at a football game or a sports game and just like really cheering or something like that. And you're kind of hoarse a little bit.
Yep.
Like, is that...
That's what I experienced. The problem was it wasn't from drinking too much. It was from the other stuff I mentioned.
No,
the theory. Anyways.
No, and why I bring up margaritas is some of the margaritas that you can have, they're made from like concentrated lime juice.
Yeah.
And because even when you try to honestly, the ones that are more natural juice, they have more acid in them because they're coming straight from the fruit, and they will mess with your gut especially if you don't eat as much or if you eat limited and you partake. And it's not the alcohol, because you could drink the same amount of alcohol in something else and it won't affect you. It's all the acid, the citrus acid, and then you lay down and it just kind of comes back up.
It hasn't been explained to me exactly like this. I'm going to be seeing another gastroenterologist. I had a colonoscopy and he said everything looked, I think the words were amazing or perfect specimen. But the problem is that my theory after reading through all this is that this happened all of a sudden. I've never had any kind of reflux issue. And you never feel anything. It's not a liquid. It's just a little bit of air. And whatever happened strained my throat and all that. And it was from this issue, I believe. It's slowly been getting better, but it didn't feel good. And in fact, sometimes after I eat, and then if I drink too much water right after, or I don't give it enough time, I'll feel a little bit. So I don't know, something to be aware of. And also, don't eat too late, man. If you're eating really late and then laying down like you were laying down after you drank, that's the other problem. Is you should be like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I would say anything in excess is going to cause you issues. And even like with what I was doing with the keto, low carb, no sugar stuff. I mean, I was able to do that for probably like a year, but eventually you start developing issues because you're missing something or there's too much of something in there and your body needs balance, whatever that is. And your body does need carbohydrates for energy, especially if you're working out and doing stuff like that. It's very hard to work out without carbohydrates because that's just such a readily available source of energy. So I started developing acid reflux as well, which I think is I was throwing my gut biome off with what I was eating and what I was not eating. And then just my workouts, I would just be dragging. Like I could barely make it through my workouts. Walk up the stairs, at the gym, I would be like exhausted. So I started eating carbohydrates before my workout so that I could at least get some energy through my workouts to get through it because it was brutal.
Does that make a
just
difference?
Surviving on like fats and protein alone for your energy source. And it did make a difference. Now, you might gain a little weight or you might do whatever, but you're going to overall feel healthier and probably be healthier. What people don't realize is like those people that are going to competitions and they got the muscles out and they're all veiny and everything like that. A lot of times those people can barely move because they're so energy depleted. There's got to be that balance, and you're going to start suffering if you throw something out of whack completely. If you're drinking too much, if you're not eating enough any carbohydrates, whatever, if you're drinking lemon juice every day with all the citric acid, like eventually it's just too much. Yeah. Your body craves balance.
It's the long-term effects of things that we think we're doing in excess that might be good for us, but then we find out over the long run they're making things worse. But usually I can keep things pretty copacetic at the doctor's office. When you go in there and you have an experience like that, what do you tell the doctor? The guy is supposed to be helping you. He's about to put something up your nose, and he says, is it okay if I do this? You say yeah, because you think he's going to help you. He's taking the oath. And he was actually trying to move something in my throat. And I'm like, why is he doing that? That doesn't seem right. The girl that was in there before, the one who you first go in and then she takes your blood pressure and asks you some questions, she was in there too. So I felt like, well, at least I have a witness if this guy does something. But dude, I don't know.
Well, he's a doctor, so you just assume that whatever he's doing, irregardless of how painful it is, it's the proper thing to be doing.
Right.
And you don't want to look like a puss.
Yeah, I don't want to in front of the. And I also,
you don't want to say no. It's too painful. Like I had something once where ingrown hair or like a pimple inside my nose that got out of control.
Hurts like hell, man.
And it was so painful. I don't know if anybody's had it. And I ended up going to the doctor, and they took a syringe.
Ooh.
And they like put it in my nose and like tried to suck tried to pop it and like suck all this. Oh, it was like I was crying, dude. Wow. Like it was just
that hurts.
It was, and he did it. Honestly, it seemed like for like 5 minutes. He's like, I can't get it. I can't get it.
Oh,
that's not what you want.
All that for nothing, dude.
Put me under.
I'll tell you what. When I had I hate to discuss it too much because I know there's some people cringing as they hear this, but I mean, when they go up your pee hole. Okay, nothing's supposed to go up that way.
Yeah,
things are only supposed to be coming out. It's a fire hydrant.
Was
Nothing
it the
goes
same
in, only,
your nose and throat guy? He just smacked it right in there, just no lube or nothing.
It was the same kind of bedside manner, though. And he said, I can't get it past. He said, I can't get it past. He actually said something like, I can't get it past your sphincter or whatever, or something like that.
Jam it.
And I said, and this lady, she was like, yeah, that's basically what he did, dude. But yeah, I just remember, damn, I just blacked out. I can't remember the rest of the story. I've had some awkward ones, man. When you're trying to make sure that you're getting checked out and stuff, and sometimes you think, well, is this necessary? I'm cool. Everything's fine now, what that was about, but it's just,
they didn't like knock you out for that, dude.
They can't give you anything for that. That's an in-office procedure, believe it or not. They put some numbing thing on there. I'll tell you what, it doesn't numb anything. Even if some of them do, some of them don't. And I had 2 different doctors do it, and one of them was a lot better than the other one. Same thing. And you know what? I hate to sound like I'm overgeneralizing, but in both occasions, the doctor who the better bedside manner and was very good at doing this without any kind of William Wallace pain at the end of Braveheart, they both happened to be, they were Middle Eastern doctors. And the guy was just so cool. He said, I can tell you're a good judge of character. And I said, I think I am. And I want to let you know when I do meet somebody that I think is a really good guy, I say it, even if it embarrasses him. I'm getting older and I just say what I mean. And I told him, I want you to know you're a good bro, man. I told him just like that. And he looked at me and he was very thankful. But I was like, you're a good doctor.
Were your pants up?
And then I pulled my pants up. Son of a bitch. I opened my heart, and this is what happens.
Oh, you opened your something, all right.
I've opened a lot of stuff.
I had an endoscopy done before where they stick it down your throat into your stomach.
Like they put you out for that, right?
And they put you out for that, and you're kind of like, you're out, but then you also are like in this like quasi awake state towards the end. At least I was, which I don't know if I was supposed to be. But as they were pulling out the camera from my stomach, because it goes all the way down your throat into your stomach, and so they can look around down there. as they're pulling it out, I'm like waking up and I'm like gagging and I'm freaking out. And I just remember them like holding me down and everything. And I'm just like, that was pretty traumatizing, you know?
No doubt.
And you can't talk, you can't do anything. And you just feel like you're dying because you're choking on this thing that like,
it's not a good, that's what I had to go through.
Dude, it was terrible, man. And then it, you know, it sucks because you really want to get this stuff done. Because you need to get it done. You're obviously there for a reason, but the procedure sometimes is so awful that it's like, yeah, you really don't look forward to doing it, and it dissuades people from doing it. Sometimes.
I never used to mind going to the doctor. It never bothered me, but now I'm like, gosh,
yeah, there's something's going in somewhere.
I think I've had this happen in my life as well, but I think with Pierce, I think this is what it might be. Have you, because you strive for perfection, and you will go to the doctor if you are not feeling perfection. And
if I feel something different.
If you feel something different.
Yeah.
And when I say this, I'm not trying to hurt feelings on anybody's side, but I've taken when you have a kid and you're like taking them to the doctor because it's freaking Friday night and you're going to the urgent care because you're like, oh, why does my kid always get sick on Friday night after the doctor's office closes? Now you're like hunting for a urgent care to find, and you're like, well, I just want to kind of get answers if he's got strep throat or is he just regular sick or
well, and as a parent, you always like expect the worst.
Correct. Then you go. You see, and you're finally in there, and you're like, okay, cool, we're going to get answers so we can like rest easy and get a prescription going, and they'll just sleep and rest, and it'll be good. Okay. So you go, and the doctor is like, nope, it's a little too early to tell what it is. I can't tell at all. So just take some Tylenol and head back home. Thank you. And if it gets worse, just call back. I won't be here. And you're just like, well, and I guess my point to this is sometimes if you're not like coming in there with a busted arm or your lungs are filled with freaking fluid or something's like really wrong with you, they kind of look at you like, you're kind of being nitpicky, you know, like you're a specimen of physical stature. And it's like going to the mechanic and saying, you know,
the timing's off a little bit.
You get paid $250 an hour. You know, should I do 40 PSI in my tires or 38? You know, what would be the benefit? And guarantee you the look that the mechanic would give you would be the same when the doctor looks at you. And I see people that have like missing teeth hanging out of their mouth and they're because they fell and broke their face. Wow. And you're complaining about a little indigestion.
That's so astute,
and your vocal cords, like, and I hate to, I'm not trying to like poke too much fun, but it's like, I mean, it's one of those things too. Like you have a brand new car and you take it back. Hey guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but there's like a ticky noise on the freeway. Like when I go, it's just like a little creaky noise, and you're like, it's a brand new car. It's not supposed to make any creaking, ticky noise, whatever. But you got to go like 80 miles an hour, and it's only when the sun's out. So you go there, and they look at you like, are you serious? This is what this guy's transmission fell out of his car over here, and you're complaining about a tick at 80 miles an hour when the sun's out.
I wish the audio could capture my awe right now because I'm not even joking, dude. Red, you know when you hear people in kind of maybe a irreverent or doggish kind of like derogatory way make fun of dad jokes or dad wisdom or whatever, dude, you drop something on me, and to me this underscores that we really do need dad wisdom in this world. We need dad jokes and everything dads bring because you're a dad, and what you just said was probably what I needed to hear.
Well, because I know when you left the doctor, you felt frustrated.
A little bit.
Because you didn't get an answer to your question.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as any father would tell you, you walk out of the doctor's office and you're like, I mean, obviously I can tell my kid's different. Obviously he's not feeling well.
There's something, but they can't. And believe you me, it's called practicing medicine. You could go to 10 different doctors and get 10 different answers, right? So they don't want to prescribe anything. And you're just like, I just want my kid to feel better, but they can't find anything as they look at it. So the only thing is to wait till it either gets worse or gets better. So it takes time. And that's not what you wanted to hear. You're hoping to go in there and saying, yeah, take this pill, rest 2 days, good to go. Right. Like, so my PSI is off a couple and you want to figure it out. Well, what's the best way to deal with
how
this?
can I get to that top tier. And see, I know how with the way you think. And you go to the doctor, and I think average person goes in there and they're like, yeah, I'm average, or maybe a little, my blood pressure is a little, maybe a smidge high. You're like, okay, I'm cool. I know you're like, okay, well, what exactly do I need to do to drop those 4 points on my blood pressure to be peak performance? Because you strive for perfection.
The lady was taking my blood pressure today, and she was talking to me, and she kept talking to me, and even picked some topics that were not relaxing topics. And I was thinking to myself, ma'am, I'm trying to focus on getting an A right now in this test, and you're making my blood pressure. And so she took it off. How'd I do? Because I thought, well, and she's like, oh, it was 125 over 70 or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like pleasant, but you're right, dude. I do that a lot. Like I want everything to be, but this really was troubling me. And even just relaxing with you, it's kind of felt a little better, but there's definitely something going on, but it's probably not serious enough. And with diet and care, it's getting better. And that's where I'm taking away a lot from what you're saying, is that some things we get so, and what's interesting about this particular issue is that when you've done that much acidity in the mornings and been eating that late and meals as big as I was, guess what also complicates and confounds this types of symptoms? Stress. So there you are getting stressed about it or worrying about it and trying to, and that'll make it worse. So all this stuff is affected by stress, your digestive system and all that, your throat, and that can all go that way. But the doctor's office is just one of those places where, and we had an episode on this once, but this week, combining a PSA with some really awkward stuff, that you've got to be your own advocate, man. Because you don't have your dad read with you when you're not a kid anymore. Speak up. And just because they're a doctor, don't assume. If you don't feel right, say it, dude.
Well, that, and also, too, I think part of our parents' generation coming up, I imagine you guys are probably the same like me. You didn't really go to the doctor unless something was wrong. You know what I mean? So we get older, I've tried to been a little bit, my parents have kind of turned around to where they got to a certain age and was kind of like, okay, your insurance might send you an email saying, hey, you're about to hit, X age, time to get this test, or do this or do that, or their coworkers tell them, oh, hey, have you got this shot or vaccine or whatever, because you're hitting a certain age, and they've come around to like accepting. But I still have some of my friends of family that are older, and they're like, no, doctors are hacks, don't go to the doctor unless you absolutely have to. And if you have high blood pressure in your family, I'm like, okay, you know what? I probably should make sure I'm managing it, because I'm not going to pretend that I'm some nutritionist and I watch every little piece and check it every single day. So if I want to be around a while, I probably should keep up on it.
Well, when I was younger, I don't know how your guys' parents were, but my mom was always very good about like yearly physicals with us kids. And if you played sports, you would do physicals fairly often too. I know as an adult, sometimes you may go years, at least me, without going to the doctor and getting a physical. And then by the time you're like, oh, I need to go around to the doctor. Man, I haven't been in so long. I'm afraid this wrong, that wrong, that's wrong. So then you just kind of like put it off, and then it just kind of compounds on itself. So
I thought of something else too I wanted to let people know about in case it helps, is that, and it's traditional MD stuff. They'll tell you, look, to make sure that you're not getting too much acid coming up, which even if it's just air, take Tums, or it's basically calcium carbonate, taking some extra calcium. The problem is that every time you take that to subdue the acid is what helps your body digest and process the nutrients. So you're getting rid of the acid, and that's good because you probably need to help something heal in your esophagus or whatever if it's bad. But now you're also interrupting your body's pH because it's having to figure out how to digest this food now with less acid. And you're kind of putting out the acid. The acid in some ways is good. So I read an article that the best way to try to improve this is that when your acid is off, your body just kind of fires acid into your stomach through different times of the day. And then when you move around, this can kind of cause some issues that we're describing. But if you take a little bit of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, like I'm talking a teaspoon, mix it in some water and drink that 20 minutes before you eat. You can also look up digestive bitters. You can buy these at your nature grocery store like Sprouts, and you just spray it in your mouth. that also stimulates the production of acid, and then maybe hopefully brings your system back into balance. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I wouldn't tell anybody to do this. Research it on your own, but I read that that's another approach. Because once you start taking, if you're just, you don't want to be on like Tums forever. You shouldn't be taking those things forever. You want to just pay attention to what you can do, you know. Gosh, what an exciting Heroes of Humility episode. This is really
a lot of
riveting.
knowledge. A lot of knowledge.
An episode all about acid reflux.
We could literally talk about, though, I have a list of so many places where I experience some of the oddest and strangest stranger interactions, you know, where I'm just like, well, I should have saw that coming. You know, that's definitely one. And maybe we can do some different episodes like that, you know, where we really attack the weirdest exchanges that you have people. I know we've talked about the gym, but doctor's office was just an easy one. It was much easier when I was younger. You didn't have these kind of deals, you know, with people. Maybe the dad or my mom had to deal with
How
that.
about like when you're sitting in the doctor's office in the lobby waiting and somebody wants to have random conversation with you? That's probably one where it's a stranger and maybe you're kind of already uncomfortable because you're at the doctor's office and some people are sick and you're like maybe just getting a physical, so you're kind of focused on like, okay, just don't try not to touch nothing.
I'm always trying to maintain my spacing in doctor's office. Like I'm like,
let me take 100 breaths and that's it.
I know this is a dentist office, but he could be here for something a lot more serious than what I have. So I'm just going to sit over here. You know, just make sure everything's good. You know, I always leave in at least one seat. Sometimes I feel a little awkward if I take like 3 or 4 more, but there's been actually times where I'll just wait outside and maybe keep line of eye sight to the front desk so I can see if they start looking in there for a long time. Now they can text you.
Now, or being on an airplane and you're forced to sit next to somebody for the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Oh yeah, we've gone into that one.
I think that people use phones now as a crutch to avoid that. Because now if you go to the doctor's office, you look around, everybody's on their cell phones. That's a way to avoid social interaction usually. Yeah. You know, if somebody's looking down on their phone, do you feel comfortable going up to the person, hey, I'm talking to you, you know? But then also like, there's just body language that you can use to show people that you're really not interested in having a conversation.
When they look over at you, you just make like a knife going to your throat.
I mean, I don't know if you want to be that aggressive, but, you know.
That's one thing. I like to tell people, hey, what are you in for? You know, it's really open.
Herpes, yeah. What about you?
Is that rash getting to you?
Yeah. I have this weird sensation in my throat, and this is the last hole that somebody needs to have gone into. How are you doing? You know, what's going on with you?
It was another white snake, incident.
Yeah.
You know.
What was that? Very, very heavy karaoke scene. And
dude, did you ever realize you could hurt yourself at karaoke? I mean, I proved that you can.
I could see you really getting into it with the air guitar.
The still of the night, I feel the moment say.
Oh, dude, you're gonna do it again. Man.
Oh, you're gonna have a blowout, bro.
It was at the part where he says,
"Hey, no."
Oh, that's what you gotta have good vocal cords.
I did
for that.
it, dude. And the thing is I did it. And as soon as I closed, because for some reason my eyes closed when I did it, when they opened, I looked out and I just saw a sea of adoring fans, and I realized I did it. But then right away I felt a pain in my throat.
I thought you were going to say you didn't even notice because the adrenaline was pumping so much. You had to come down from your adrenaline rush before you realized you hurt yourself.
It's disgusting. What kind of a disgusting human being gets high off of adulation? Unfortunately, I do. And it was... But yeah, I was like doing that song, and then there's a couple people out there, they might listen that were there that night, and I wonder, and they were joking with me, and now they realize, oh my gosh, he really did hurt himself.
Help me paint the picture. I guess I always say this. Was this at a bowling alley bar, or because I don't see you as a dive bar type of dude. Was it Chili's or something?
Like a piano? Was it a piano?
Yeah.
Oh, like a classy jazz piano
I
place?
could see that. Yeah. Were you dressed
I wish. It was more of a dive, but they did serve meals there. I remember when I went up to get the mic, I brought like a wipe and I wiped the mic off.
Of course you did.
And I got up there. And
if you were the person who went before and then you're like, this guy thinks I'm disgusting, he comes up with a wipe.
I'm not going to use your disgusting mic that you just breathed all over.
Yeah. That's filthy.
So I went up. I tried to do it discreetly though. You know, I didn't want to go up there real obvious with like a wipe and dip. Pull out the wipe and dip bag, and then Beauty thinks it's funny. I like to call them wipe and dipes. But yeah, I just kind of went up and I always like to start with my back to the crowd. You know, I never like to, I don't want to be looking at anybody.
Showman,
I don't feel like
showman.
they should make eye contact with me for a few minutes.
And the legs got to be pumping. Too,
Yeah,
right?
it does. Yeah, it does.
I like the right one. And I don't know if that's because I saw.
Dude, I got
You
this-
already got it, dude.
I got an image in my mind right now. Yeah.
it's
Does it smoke like a little bit of smoky lines going?
a tiny bit of smoke creeps
It's
out
tight,
from behind
like
me.
leather pants,
And then just you see one foot start to.
with the beat of the drum. Hell yeah!
Yeah.
I did it, dude. I did it, and it was worse. I think the reason I hurt myself too is because they had a stage, and it just like made the whole thing.
Oh, maybe the air wasn't top notch. It wasn't filtered air.
Well, I wasn't drinking enough water, and do you know this is the sick reason why I was so dry that night? Is because when we got water, I hadn't brought my own water bottle. You know, you guys make fun of how I always bring my
Yeah,
own
the
water.
water can.
Well, the laugh's on you. It was also on me because I didn't bring my water. Beauty had hers, and the water that they brought us, I tasted it. It didn't taste right. Yeah, it didn't taste like it had chlorine. I could taste and smell the chlorine in the water. So I was like, do I drink this toxic chlorine, this Clorox, or do I
Get a
sing
beer.
dry?
You could just grab a beer and it, or a shot of tequila or something like that.
We can't even talk right now. I can't even look at you. But I did that, dude. and
Sanitize it.
that made it worse because my throat was so dry. Yeah.
See, you weren't at peak perfection right there.
Oh yeah.
You should always bring some honey just in case.
Yeah, a little
That's a
honey
good
for
idea.
karaoke.
A little emergency honey.
Me. Excuse me just a second, folks. I
Yeah.
need to prepare.
While I
gotta
take care of my instrument here.
I gotta tune
White
my
Snake,
tool.
please. If you can just get that
Yeah,
ready.
just
Yeah.
cue it up and give me like 10 minutes.
Well, I thought we could also do a what would you do scenario. Have one in the chamber. So I don't know if you guys
Go.
are
Yeah, please.
ready for one. I mean, that's how I come prepared. You know, I don't know what else to tell you guys. This one is a little story. Remember last time I told a long story about what happened to me when I was a talent scout found me, and
Oh,
this is
yeah.
I
This
sent.
kinda-
By the way, I
yeah,
sent you guys a video.
I think
a
I got
YouTube
your
clip
autograph
of,
after that
Yeah,
last
we
show,
did.
actually.
That was so ridiculous. I forget who it was giving me grief when they listened to that. This is a kind of similar, but I'm not. Hopefully, it doesn't sound as douchey as the last one.
Okay.
So I used to wait tables. Now pay attention because one of you will have to answer what would you do.
Hell, it's a quiz.
So I was waiting tables. I used to joke around. The only way I would get through waiting tables because I was such a bad waiter is I tried to make people laugh because otherwise they would be keen to what was really going on, which was that their food wasn't coming out at time. I wasn't putting the appetizer in at the right. Everything was bad.
There's hair in it.
Yeah, well, that wasn't me, but
Oh,
I don't know what you're trying to. So I just it wasn't a curly hair, but like some of these edits.
damn.
But there was some of these places that I worked at that I really had to try to, like one time, I might have told this before, but it was, I would bring for their birthday, we had to take their picture and sing whatever. So I'd bring them like a picture of myself instead of the one I took of them, or I just mess with people and they'd be like having a good time and then they'd forget how awful the service was. I was doing that apparently. And this guy at the end of the shift, he came over to me and he's like, how long have you been here? And I said, I've been here couple years. I was working my way through college. Are you graduating soon? And I was like, oh, what's with all the questions? I started thinking, right? But I was being nice. He was still the customer. You got to be nice to the customers. He said, I know this is going to sound weird, but I own a nice restaurant in Chicago. We prize ourselves on serving wine with every meal. And he said, I think you would do really well in my restaurant. If you want to come out to Chicago, I would pay for your flight. And I could set you up.
This is sex trafficking.
And I was thinking, in retrospect, I'm like, maybe that's what was happening. I don't know.
Yeah, this
But
guy hasn't been violated in his throat.
he was so serious, dude. And jeez, we should have brought these in a different episode when I wasn't talking about things going into my throat or into one of my orifices in my body. But yeah, he said, and he was totally serious. I looked at the guy and I'm like, what's your angle, bro? What's going on? So I kind of thought, this guy's kind of fruity, but he was so serious. And he said, he gave me a business card and he let me see the restaurant. And it was like my senior year of college. And so I thought, man, I was really tired of working at this restaurant. I got an internship with a type of occupation that kind of segued into what I do now, but I hadn't had that yet. And I was very close to thinking about taking him up on this offer.
Finally somebody recognized your talent. That's what you were waiting on.
It's always been right there, just at the very boiling point. And I just need somebody to
recognize.
You never know when you might be plucked from the herd,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, this guy's
got it. He's
my kind of guy.
It's like the claw machine at the arcade.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're trying to
like
find
that.
the special stuffed animal, and you find that one special stuffed animal.
Pierce.
Yeah, he's really
Pierce.
His holes haven't been violated yet. He's still in his pristine condition. This guy tried to pluck me out that night, and I thought about it. And at the time, I talked with my girlfriend, and I was like, I also didn't want to leave her and all that. And I was like, man, what do I do? And she's like, I don't know. I mean, what would it hurt? He's paying for your flight, and I almost did it. So here's my question: what would you do if you were in that situation? Red, we'll start with you. And
I like it.
You were, let's just imagine you were a really bad waiter, but you had a lot of charm.
I
know it's hard, but just try to imagine.
It's kind of tough. Yeah.
What a dickhead. But no, if that happened to you, now put yourself back in college and you didn't really have any other ties, would you try that? A free trip to Chicago and go to his, he wanted me to help him, not just like, it wasn't just going to be waiting tables, I was going to help him with his restaurant. He saw that I had a way with people, I guess.
You probably already know my answer because you know how my brain probably already thinks, especially at our age now.
Okay.
Where you're just kind of like, man, it's a little too good to be true, and when you're talking back when you're 19, 20, we didn't have smartphones where you're like, yeah, let me see this guy's website. Oh, yeah, this guy says who he is. Let me look at the videos he's gotten, the reviews, and but I mean, think about it. Like in our brains, we're already going,
am I going to get
he has
raped?
A business card. Yeah, just smell this napkin really quick, and before you know it, it'll just help with the trip.
Before it puts the lotion on the skin.
Yeah. Here, wipe yourself down with this lube and then get on the plane.
Yeah.
It's a private jet, by the way.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have done it.
It just sounds it sounds too good to be true. But
I always wonder what if I had, because have you ever had major moments in your life where you went left and you might have gone right, and what could have happened?
Well, I have heard from a friend of ours say that his daughter was approached at the mall, and I can't remember who it was, if it was a guy or girl, but essentially like approached him and the two of them and said, your daughter would be perfect. We're looking for this advertisement, essentially like to be a model / actor for this commercial type of advertisement or something like that. And again, it was kind of like right away, what? This sounds a little too far-fetched. You'd figured you'd have to get people that apply to a talent agency or a modeling agency that they're probably looking for these type of jobs. So how can you just walk through the mall? But I'm sure people that are starting up companies, they don't want to, maybe one thing is they don't want to pay those prices for some modeling agency to, $1,000 when you need somebody for like 2 hours. You could find somebody at the mall and go, oh, that girl, that girl's pretty. She could advertise my new clothing line really well. And I could pay her $100 and she'd be ecstatic.
And I think people that are susceptible because they have some delusion that could really happen to them are probably also more prone to that, maybe. Because I will say, like, I did do a couple of things, but that happened to me, and they maybe, I don't know.
I think it also depends on where you come from. We tend to come from a bigger city, so you kind of, there's always like you doubt there's not as much trust, because when I visited family in the Midwest, it's a different bird. Like we automatically sometimes always kind of think the negative of people. And when smaller towns, you kind of rely on your neighbor, you go to the same store, you see some of the same people. So you can't be an a-hole or, you got to be respectable type of thing. So people tend to be a little bit more trusting. Mm-hmm, so they don't tend to be like, I don't know, I hate to say like city folk where you're just kind of, you're just skeptical of everything you hear. If it's
disenfranchised.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say no. I would have been, dude. I was so stupid. When I was working at the front desk. A short story. I was working at the front desk. I was probably like around your same age, maybe like 20, 21. And afterwards, I thought, man, what an idiot. This older lady. She was older than me. She might have been like 30, early 30s. She hands me a napkin. And in the, if you think about it, in the front of a hotel, they always hide trash cans. They don't want trash cans in the lobby for some reason. They're either out front or back in the bathrooms. They don't have a trash can. I guess it just doesn't look nice. So sometimes people will hand you something like it's trash because you have trash cans under the front desk. So she puts the napkin up there. So I just grab it and throw it in the trash. So maybe 5 minutes goes by and she does the same thing again. But this time she kind of like sees me grabbing it and then she kind of holds it. And I'm like, she's like, no, this is for you. Oh. And I'm like, you like the trash? She's like, no, my number's on it.
She gave you her number 3 times?
Yeah. And it was like, I didn't know. I thought, because like I said, I mean, sometimes you're in your brain, you're in the front, and I wasn't expecting it. I guess, I don't know. I'm not a hot chick, so I don't get girls just coming up to me every single 10 minutes and hitting on me. So I was kind of like
guys, but yeah, I know what you mean. But you, when were you, can you tell us where you were working at?
Front desk of a hotel.
Oh.
So again, like I said, people hand you stuff.
This guy, man.
Again, I wasn't prepared.
Casanova,
this was
dude.
probably some businesswoman that was out of town businesswoman.
Oh, she was a businesswoman. She wanted you to give her the business, dude.
She was getting down to business. I didn't even know. Like, it caught me off guard. So I was kind of like one of those, like, what the hell? I don't even know what to do in this moment.
Yeah, you're not used to.
And she had the eye of the tiger, and I was kind of like, whoa, like, I don't know if I'm prepared for this. You caught me off guard. Like, maybe if I had a little prep talk, I could be like, okay, maybe this could happen. Jeez. But for sure, like, I don't think I ever saw her again. And it was just one of those moments where I was out of my league for sure.
Well, you know, sometimes when you say that you wussed out or whatever, it's maybe you didn't really, because you never know. Sometimes your instinct is maybe there's a good reason. Like, I didn't go to Chicago. I mean, I didn't take the flight, and you didn't take this girl's piece of paper, but I don't know.
You guys could have ended up dead, dude.
We could have both been dead, dude. It would just be beige sitting here.
You know what?
There'd be no heroes of humility.
I'll give you this. Instead of it being Chicago, what if he was like, hey, come to my studio. I'm having tryouts. And
wear this leotard.
And it's just the next city over. Like, it's the next city over. Like, it's a 30-minute car ride.
Okay.
Would you go then? I might say, dude, I would probably go and bring a friend.
You know,
that's different.
His paying for the flight made me think more about it. If he was willing to pay for your...
It sounds like he was grooming you, dude.
To groom him, or...
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it sounded like he wanted you to be kept. I'm going to pay for your flight. Like, he kind of wanted to be your sugar daddy, dude.
That's still...
Well, think about it, though. Like,
so bad, no.
if you buy a young person a ticket, and obviously you're working as a waiter, probably at the low end of the totem pole as far as income goes.
Oh, jeez.
And you said you were a bad waiter. So,
I was.
So what I'm pointing is somebody that can buy you a ticket to go to Chicago probably tomorrow or the next day has a decent amount. And if he got you to Chicago and then was like, F you, you're not what I thought you were, bye. And now here you are, the lonesome little poor guy on a street corner in Chicago. You don't know anybody. How are you getting home?
Yeah, just like that Welcome to the Jungle video.
Yeah. You're
gonna die.
So what I mean is, like, I'll be fair. Like, if it's going, somebody else is buying you a plane ticket or essentially taking you out of your control and their control, and then going somewhere where you have no idea.
Well, who knows, dude? I have 3 Darth Vader helmets. If I had gone to Chicago, maybe I'd have 4, you know? Who knows what could have happened.
Yeah, so I would tell you this. I would go if it was like, say, the next town over, 30-minute drive, I could bring a friend. Yeah, try, shoot your shot.
Beige, would you have gone or just played it safe?
I would have been like, this guy's trying to groom me, dude.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to groom somebody in Beige's world.
I mean, like, this is, he obviously is into me.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, I'm not into that. Yeah. This guy's buying me tickets. No, honestly, if an older guy, probably, right?
He wasn't that much older. I mean, he was probably in his early 30s.
But he's kind of like flashing cash a little bit.
No,
like,
yeah.
I can buy you a ticket.
Was he by himself?
No, he had a group of people with him.
I get that he's not like literally flashing, but he's saying, I'd buy your ticket. Like, he's showing you his wealth, and to me, that's kind of a tactic that he's using to entice you for something, and hopefully it's genuine and it would be something like that. But especially now, given my current mentality and
your jadedness,
my jadedness, I definitely would be like, what are you getting at here, buddy? And in all honesty, even back then, I probably wouldn't do it because it would just feel weird.
Yeah.
I honestly, I wouldn't do it.
Well, I guess I did. I sometimes I wonder, but I'm pretty sure I made the right decision. So it did occur to me, maybe this guy wants more than just my mind. But I thought, well,
oh yeah.
I mean, who knows? You could have parlayed that. Maybe you'd have your own show on the Food Network by now or something.
Oh yeah.
Who knows? I could have sold a bunch of wine and become. I mean, I just thought he wanted me because I was a good jokester in the restaurant,
Definitely not for your waiter skills, though, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was the other.
It was how charismatic you were.
The point of the story was not to make me feel worse. It's just.
I mean,
does anybody else want to go? Does anybody else have a what would you do?
Do you have one?
Yeah, I can go. It's not as
nice
profound as Pierce's there, but
I forgot to play the
talent.
What would you do music that we have when we start our show. What would you do song? Okay.
All right. So say you're, say you're getting a service done, whether it's like getting your car fixed or something like that, right? And you make arrangements to pay somebody and you agreed on a certain amount that you're paying the individual. You reach into your pocket, say the amount was supposed to be $100. And you reach into your pocket and you have $200 in there and you accidentally grab both $200 and you just hand the person $200. But you only meant to give them the $100, and you realize that after the fact. What do? Do you just eat the $100 and say, you know what, or do you look like a schmuck and say, can I have that $100?
Can I ask you a question though? How well do you know the person? Like, is it a?
Oh, I mean, you don't know. It's not like they're your buddy. It's like
just a one-off type of thing.
It's like a one-off type deal, and you kind of had agreed on the 100, but you were just like, you thought you grabbed the 100, and afterwards you're like, shit, I just gave him $200.
Is it kind of like a buddy? Because it's just like that you're paying somebody that you don't. Because I always use my credit card for stuff like that. But
it's kind of like a buddy, like a friend,
okay,
like an informal thing.
That is kind of tougher. Yeah, that's important.
So, what do you do in that situation? Do you just eat the extra money, or do you do you say you made a mistake and you want that?
I play it off. Oh shit, dude! Like these are brand new 100s from the bank. They're so sticky. I think I might have gave you 2. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I would play it, in all honesty. Especially nowadays, money's tough, right? Like,
what about if it's like 15 minutes later?
Hey, man.
Like, you reach in your pocket and you're like, oh, shit, I don't have it.
Well, the other thing is it makes him look worse because you would think he would have pointed it out to you.
Hey, you know what? I would still ask because you know what? Because honestly, that's happened to me. I have sold some stuff. And, when you go to the bank, they're like, I'm like, Piers, I don't carry a lot of cash. Like, usually I got maybe $40 on me. So when you either go to buy or sell something and you have to count like cash straight from the bank, dude, those 100s are like freaking starched.
They're crisp. Yeah.
And they stick to each other.
Right.
And
like it's not a big deal if it's like $1 or $5. You're like, oh crap, but $100. You're like,
yeah, because I mean, in all reality too, even if you were getting a massage, you're tipping somebody, 200%? On $100, like 100, like that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? You don't tip somebody that much unless it's something like they've gone over. If it was like, okay, dude, this guy did a really good job, I'll throw him an extra 20. You know what I mean? Like you'd probably just walked away and then would never think about it again. But another 100.
Beige likes the idea of somebody thinking that he's just somebody who tips $100.
Like this guy's a baller.
Dude, he had a panhandle by Walmart on the corner for that.
Yeah, I would probably ask. I'd be like, "Hey, bro, I accidentally gave you.
I need that 100 back, buddy.
Yeah, come on, man. And that maybe even put more mustard on it so that you can make. I always try to make stuff funny, dude. I was testing you and you failed. And I need that other $100 back so that we can maintain some kind of reasonable relationship.
That's a good way to put it, because that's happened to me before. When you're counting it out, and you're like, and you bring it up like that. A lot of times, because some people will say, "Oh, you shorted me." No, double check that, man, because I swear that there's 10 100s in that.
Damn, and did you see that look Red gave you? That's a look that says, "Hey, this is serious."
Yeah.
The other thing is when I've gotten
not messing around.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten out of a buddy's car and be like, shit, I think I might have left some money in there. And then you're like, well, dude, if you find any 100s in here, I probably dropped one. So just keep that in mind. That's a lot of times I get out of cars and that's what I say.
Usually when I go to the laundromat, I say that, hey guys, you find a quarter in here? It's mine. I was in here.
Well, you got to say a higher denomination though, because then that kind of impresses everybody you're with. I usually like to say it when I'm in an Uber with some other people. Yeah. Oh, sir, I'm sorry. I don't have time to check right now, but if you find any hundreds in here, it's probably
It's going to be mine.
Yeah, it's gonna be mine.
Yeah, can you describe it? You know what? Okay, I've got one too. I kind of thought about this as you guys were talking. I remember.
That was rude.
I remember.
I'm just kidding.
I remember in my single days, I had this happen to me. I met this girl at a party. Got her phone number. We kind of hit it off, and we had mutual friends, so it wasn't like a blind date or nothing like that. And we met at this Halloween party, and I got her phone number. We all had friends of each other, so it wasn't like a complete stranger, if that makes sense. You kind of had friends of friends that knew each other, so it was like, okay, your guard was down a little bit less than it normally would be. And so we had talked on the phone like probably for a week, and then I was like, hey, I'd like to take you on a date on Saturday. She was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, we'll talk about it and arrange it. So I was trying to do the right thing and be like, hey, don't you worry. All you got to do is show up, and it's going to be a surprise. Like, we'll go do this little thing first, and then we'll go to dinner. Dress like this. Okay.
Nice.
So day comes. I call her just like, hey, I'm probably going to get leaving here pretty soon. Can you shoot me your address and I'll pick you up? And she goes, can we just meet there? And I said, I mean, yeah, I guess, but it's kind of, I'm trying to do the
surprise. You want to surprise?
I'm trying to surprise you, like,
Yeah.
It's our first date. So I was trying to be like, put all the things in, right? And she's like, well, I'm not trying to be weird. I just would rather meet you there. And for me, I was kind of like, I met her through friends of friends. So I was kind of like, well, I would think she would know that I'm an upstanding guy, not like a stalker dude or somebody you met at the bar. You don't want to know where you live. I totally get it.
An assailant of some
yeah.
kind.
So I was like, well, I mean, I guess you could meet me there, but I thought you would have like,
awkward.
I thought you could have like maybe a drink or two. So I didn't want you to like have to worry about driving. And, I was trying to like win you over type of thing. And she didn't want to tell me. I could feel like there was something she wasn't telling me. So I kept kind of, I guess maybe I was either curious or annoyed. And I was kind of like a little pushy. Hey, I'm just trying to do the right thing and be a good guy.
Right.
And the respectable thing, like, I guess I come from a traditional style, like
an
upbringing.
old-fashioned date.
I would like to pick you up and take you out as a surprise, and I'll drop you off. Like, what you tell me what time you need to be back, I'll make sure you're home. It's not like I'm trying to like. We all have friends of friends, like they can vouch for me, whatever type of thing. And she's like, she finally breaks down and goes, "Well, this is what happened. Like, my ex-boyfriend came over, and I live with my parents." I said, "Well, I don't care. That's not a big deal to me. I totally get it. We're at the age where a lot of people live with their parents." Yeah, but I don't think you get it. He kept coming over after we broke up and we stopped dating. He kept coming over and stalking me. So I don't really want people to know where I live like right away.
Oh, wow. She had a rough situation then.
I'll leave it right there, like, because it's kind of, what would you do? I was attracted to the girl, of course, because I asked for her phone number. I wanted to take her out and I wanted to pick her up. And you hear that story. Now, what would you do? Do you work around it? Do you say, "Oh, you know what? This might not be a good idea. I'll give it to you since you gave me yours."
Yeah, I've heard some girls that are friends of mine tell me about this situation, which seems to be more of a contemporary issue and maybe wasn't as prevalent back when this date occurred that you had. I would imagine maybe back in the 90s.
Well, yeah, this is probably 25-ish, almost 30 years ago, probably.
Okay. So, I mean, unfortunately, there is a cultural difference, I think, or our times have changed a little bit. And I get that somebody doesn't want to be picked up because they still want a way out, even if there's a lot of context that they should feel comfortable with and you both know the same people. I think what's difficult to appreciate, and I know it probably got more attention a few years ago, is to try to understand what that's like when you are just happen to be the person that weighs like 50% less in the exchange, right? Because look, I don't care how you slice it. There is still a vulnerability that I think is built into men and women that unfortunately, this is more clumsy than it needs to be, but it's like when you're riding your bike and you go out into traffic, you have to be careful because The car is way more than you. All right. A guy picking you up, you're that much more vulnerable. Now, because you're such a sweet guy and you didn't think any harm of it and you're thinking in an old-fashioned way, you don't see that. But it's hard to gain that perspective until you really start listening to some girls talk about horror stories that they've been through on dates. And when you can appreciate that, or you've heard enough of these stories, then you start to think, wow, I don't know how you ever not do it, like, so, but again, this was a long time ago, and it was a much different environment, I think. I mean, I remember when I was first dating, it was never even a discussion. I just would pick the girl up. She understood that everything was fine, and we would go about.
See, and that maybe that's a generation
and
thing.
I think it is. I just don't think that. I think that there's something that's changed, and I think most girls that I know who are single, I hear them talk about this, and they never let somebody just pick them up. They always go, and there's other reasons for that if they're not having a good time or they want to be able to leave. So, they don't know maybe how much you're going to drink. So I would just have, the first time she said it, I would have said, okay, sure, and just said, yeah, let's meet there. But I understand, because I know you, how it felt a little awkward. And you're also somebody who, when you recognize that there's something that doesn't feel right, you want to make it right. I just know you. So I think that was part of your thing, but that's what I would do. And you're right. I mean, maybe it takes a little bit of the romance out of it, because it's not about physical romance. It's about the excitement of being able to surprise her and kind of wine and dine her and take her somewhere where maybe she's never been. And you get to be like the person who's like showing her a fun time. But yeah, it's just a different type of thing. And of course, I haven't been on a date in a long, long time. But I mean, yeah, what I would say.
How about you, Beige?
Well, my assumption was, if she's like really adamant about, well, don't come into my house, pick me up, I'm like, okay, what's going on there? Are you living with a boyfriend?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like, that's what I'm thinking initially.
Tons of things can go through your mind, right?
Initially, I'm thinking like, there's something up with your living situation.
You don't want me to see it.
You don't want me to see what your living situation is,
and you could be bringing
more
this
than
up,
likely there's like a boyfriend there or something like that. That'd just be weird, right? And so like that would be probably thought number one. That's one issue. And then thought number two would be that also would come into play where like, yeah, she might not want you to know right off the bat where she lives. She might want to be comfortable with you first. Plus what Pierce said, I know for a fact women do that, especially now, where they prefer to a lot of times have their own vehicle so they have it out. So if things go really bad, she can just bail and get in her own car and leave, I mean, yeah, you can always call an Uber and stuff, I guess, but like it's easier if you just have your own car. Women also they do the, hey, call me in half an hour. They do the friend call, right? And if things are going good, they just don't answer the phone.
Oh, yeah.
But if things are terrible, they answer the phone and it's some pseudo emergency, right? That they have to leave. It's like, everybody knows that, that's their out too. So as far as like, then when the truth comes out, hey, I have the stalker ex, I used to always get into trouble because I'd be like the savior dude. You tell me some sob story and I'm like wanting to come in and save you, And I think what's crazy is like, I think there's a lot of time that women can pick up on that. They'll play into that too. So there's sometimes manipulation there where like there's some sob story there because they want to activate this savior complex that guys have, right? So some guys will hear that and be like, well, you're going to be safe around me, because I'm your savior. And then there's other guys that are like, I'm not going to deal with that. That's too much drama, I'm out.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm getting more to the point of that's drama and I'm probably out because I've been down the road of the savior complex before and that doesn't really work out that great. So just from experience.
But you guys are very deep about this.
I will say this. I grew up with three sisters and, but I will say that's why I laid it down the foundation first when I said we met through friends of a friend. I totally get if you met her at a bar or it's a blind date. Yeah, meet me there. Like take a.
But even if they know you, like they don't know you.
Which I get. I guess to me we had already talked. Like because even as a guy, you go to wherever and you're meeting your buddy there, and he brings his cousin or something from out of town, and you two hit it off. You guys all leave. What is the first thing you're going to do after you're done is call your bro and like, dude, what's up with your cousin? You know, she said she was single. She's like my age. You're going to get the lowdown. That's my point, right? The girls are going to do that right off the bat. Like, especially if I know her friends and I met her for the first time, what is that girl going to go do? Hey, do you know that? Hey, tell me about that guy. Is he a good guy? Is he, you know, I mean, that's what you're going to do. Like,
but still, she's going to have to get comfortable with you first too. Like, it can't just be, because I mean, I've gone out with girls like that where it's like, yeah, you talked to them before and friendly and stuff, but like, you haven't gone on a date yet. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really know. They know you maybe at work, or they know you here, or they know you there.
I think too.
But like, it's a different animal for a woman when it's like a romantic date. It's a different dynamic.
Well, and I also think Red's, the way Red's mind is that he has like, he looks at the world through a bit of, I don't mean this to sound naive. I mean it that, especially coming from me, I should never be saying that about anybody. I'm kind of naive, but is the idea that you look at it through a prism of there's a wholesome view you have of all this, and you're having trouble maybe seeing that why she should be so circumspect or like so suspicious of you. And it feels a little bad, but unfortunately you are grouped into other scenarios that she may have had, like the one that she was maybe sharing with you where this guy was like stalking her. So
yeah, because the guy who's stalking her,
some
he probably
point-
didn't start off as like stalker creep.
At some point
you know?
she liked him. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I'll come over. I'm already looking in your window.
Yeah, like he's probably like, oh, this guy's great, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns into stalker creep, you know.
Some people have had people violate their trust so badly that it makes
them
it hard,
paranoid,
dude,
yeah.
after that. Yeah, it's not your fault, man. It's just, but it's hard to see that because you're a good guy and you just can't imagine somebody would think that of you. But it's not about you, you know. That's the hard part.
And I think Pierce, you actually hit the nail on the head. I was kind of taken aback because to me, she knew me through friends. And honestly, I was taken back and I was kind of like, well, you know what? I'm just trying to do the nice, like, romantic thing. I liked you. I said, but honestly, like, if we don't have the trust, like, I don't want to start off this way. So if this is not going to work out, it's okay. Like, this might not be a workout for us.
Well, and you also have like a romantic idea, and maybe that's not the right word, but an ideal scenario in your mind, and it just didn't fit that mold because I understand we grew up in a similar generation, and you just think, well, yeah, I'll show up with a rose, I'll pick you up, we'll go to dinner at 7 or whatever, and we'll have a story, you know. But yeah, it didn't work out that way because she doesn't have the same, you know.
You know what? And I don't want to sound so cheesy, but after I said that, and I was kind of like, you know, if you want, like, I'm a trusting guy. I'm not the type of guy. Believe you me. I said, you've probably talked to some of your friends that know me. I'm not that type of guy. Like, if we go out and it doesn't work, like, I'll drop you off. I'm not that type of guy. I am the type of guy, though, that if I'm taking a girl on a date, I pick her up. I take her to go eat. I'm paying for it, and I drop you back off when you want to go back home. If you're say you're uncomfortable, you want to go now, I'll take you now, like, no problem. But I get it, like, you know, put your shoe on the other foot, like, here you are, you're not driving, somebody else is in control of this scenario, you would feel uncomfortable. But like, I guess we had that familiarity with each other. We had talked on the phone and built up. Because don't get me wrong, nowadays completely different. When you have Uber, it's like you meet somebody, hey, meet me at the restaurant. This is the restaurant. Be there at 7. Okay, cool. Totally, like, we're strangers. We're meeting each other. Awesome. I totally get that.
Yeah,
but
you guys knew each other. Friends.
It turned me off
Gotcha.
because, like, if this girl already has stalkers, maybe I'm not the one for her. Like, I guess I'd never dated anybody that had a quote stalker. So right away, I'm kind of like getting the kind of vibes that maybe this didn't work out. Well, she
She's
turned
a
and she goes,
stalker level, dude. Yeah, you're.
I guess maybe that kind of turned me off. So when I kind of shut it down and was like, you know, if this isn't gonna work and you don't want to trust me, like, I get it, you've had a bad thing, but I was kind of like, this is my style, and, you know, if it's not going to work, it's okay.
Did you guys end up going out? What happened?
She's like, you know, it's okay. You can come to my house. I said, I promise, like, I'm not going to stalk you. And so she went out with me a couple times.
Oh, wow.
But obviously, like, there was something there that I guess.
See, but for me, I hate that because I already, like, now the energy's out there. So, like, now I'm coming to your house and I'm picking you up, but I had to, like, I feel like sometimes, like, you don't want me to, but but you are because I'm kind of pressuring you into it. And for me, if that's the energy I'm getting, I don't want it. I don't want somebody that like has to feel pressured into that, you know? Like I've been that, like, if you're on a date with a woman and she's just kind of like I can tell, like, you really don't want to be here.
Yeah, what are we doing now?
And then what are we doing?
Time?
Yeah. And like, and if that energy's out there and you really don't want me picking you up, but you're relenting because you maybe feel pressured into it now, that's not good. You know
what? And honestly, like, I ended up marrying my girlfriend, my wife, not that same girl. And, she's that style though, that obviously worked for me, that she wouldn't go out with somebody unless they did pick her up and do like what I was doing. So obviously she was looking for that type of person that I am. So it worked out in the better anyways, but it was just weird. I was kind of like, I just reacted the way I did because I was kind of almost off-putting that someone didn't trust me, or so like you said, maybe it's my wholesome view of it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, man, if she doesn't trust me, God, we're already on a wrong foot, I think, maybe subconsciously.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, you found the right one, man. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well done,
we
dude.
finally
You
did an
nailed it.
episode where the missus will be happy.
Well, there's a happy ending at the end of this episode, you know, and that's the
Should
important
be
thing.
really happy if she got to throw away some of your shoes too.
That was
Absolutely.
I actually
She's probably
heard a
doing it now.
Yeah, that was setting up.
She's
let's
like,
not
yeah,
bring that
go
up
over to
again.
Pierce's tonight. Yeah.
Hey, did she
Yeah.
say anything about that last episode? Because we really kind of were critical of some of her.
I mean,
conduct.
I was just sitting over
No,
here.
you were
pretty
pretty-
much.
You know,
Pierce.
I know you guys probably sometimes are like, man, Red is cruel to his wife. But no, in all honesty, we're like that with each other. We're kind of
You guys
real.
are open. Yeah, you keep it real.
We're real because like she knows that it's a pet peeve of mine, but I do know deep down that, okay, I've been saying I'm gonna get rid of this, and I keep putting it off.
Well, it's not too. I mean, it's not like we are living there with you, so you guys, you never know. I mean, couples have their equilibrium, so I'm sure that you do really annoying things.
Oh,
that,
absolutely.
So that's something you're giving.
She
back.
was glad to get rid of me today.
Yeah, it's been an hour plus, so we enjoyed having you with us on this adventure of Heroes of Humility. It's been educational. I think we've learned a little bit about life, again, from three guys that really don't know much about it except how to not be heroic or humble, but we try and hope we've shared some insights. I'm done now. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and we are on YouTube. We really are going to do this on video one of these days.
I keep saying that, but eventually it'll happen.
Yeah, it is going to
Promise.
happen, and we're going to get some cameras and stuff. If anybody wants to message us, they want to help.
Please tell Pierce what angle his good side is on.
I don't have one.
It's all good.
Be back again as soon as possible. We're trying to shoot for 2 weeks again. We got to get these guys out here to the studio. It's a ways away, so that sometimes hampers operations. But thanks for tuning in. This is Pierce signing off with
Beige.
Red.
adios. Be cool, be kind.